As it rises from Cape Kennedy's Launch Complex 39, Apollo 8 will become the first manned spacecraft to ride atop America's largest and most powerful launch vehicle, Saturn V, produced under the direction of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Its first stage thrust, 7.5 million pounds. Approximately 2.5 minutes after liftoff, first stage separation will occur, followed almost immediately by second stage ignition. Seconds later, the interstage at the rear of the second stage will separate. Moments after, the launch escape tower will be jettisoned. At orbital altitude, the second stage will separate, and the third stage will ignite and fire for approximately 4 minutes, propelling the spacecraft to its full Earth orbit velocity, some 17,500 miles an hour. Inside the spacecraft, the crew of Apollo 8 will begin a thorough, crucial checkout of all vital systems. For this is to be a mission without precedent. Its destination, the Moon, 240,000 miles away. At one of 2 points toward the end of either its second or its third Earth orbit, with all systems in go condition, the vehicle will be oriented for translunar injection. Then, over the Pacific, the Saturn's third stage will again be fired, accelerating the spacecraft to almost 25,000 miles an hour, freeing it from its low Earth orbit, and starting it on its long, history-making journey away from the Earth. About 25 minutes after translunar injection, the craft, now approximately 6,000 statute miles from the Earth, a separation maneuver will be performed. Spring-loaded panels atop the Saturn's third stage will fling open and away, and the spacecraft will move slowly out. At a distance of about 70 feet, the spacecraft commander will perform a transposition, turning the spacecraft around so that the crew can photograph the Saturn's third stage. Because no lunar landing will be performed on this mission, there will be no lunar module at the front end of the third stage, only a huge pipe-like article to provide necessary weight. Some 20 minutes after transposition, the photography completed, the spacecraft will be oriented approximately perpendicular to the Saturn's third stage. With the firing of its small thrusters, the craft will begin to move laterally away from the third stage, a maneuver that will assure a safe distance between the vehicles during translunar crossing. The Apollo leaving the third stage to be flung by the Moon's gravity as it passes toward the Sun and into oblivion. The astronauts will spend most of the journey in lightweight flight coveralls, their pressure suits removed and stowed. They are scheduled to eat together whenever possible and to sleep in 2 shifts, Frank Borman first, then James Lovell and Bill Anders simultaneously. Among much else, the crew will perform star landmark tracking with the Earth and star lunar tracking with the Moon, navigational observations that will aid them in making the necessary mid-course corrections in their flight path. Late in the third day of the mission, at a point roughly 200,000 miles from the Earth, Apollo 8 will enter the lunar sphere of influence. At this point, the continuous pull of Earth's gravity will have slowed the craft to about 2,100 miles an hour. From here, it will no longer be moving from the Earth, but falling toward the Moon. Some 2 days and 21 hours after liftoff, lunar gravity having increased the speed of the craft to about 5,700 miles an hour, Apollo 8 will have reached its destination. On the far side of the Moon from the Earth, the spacecraft commander will ready to retrofire the main rocket. Lasting for about 4 minutes, the firing will slow the spacecraft and insert it into an elliptical orbit over the Moon's equator. About 4 hours later, at the end of the second orbit, the spacecraft commander will again retrofire the main rocket, this time for about 10 seconds, slowing the spacecraft into a circular orbit 69 statute miles above the Moon's surface. During the 20 hours they will spend orbiting the Moon, the astronauts will take extensive photographs of the lunar surface. seemingly but an arm's reach below them. They will attempt to gain visual familiarity with the lunar surface and, among other tasks, will perform landmark tracking. Their primary interest will be on the Earth side of the moon, those areas which are potential sites for the first American manned lunar landing, less than a year away. At the end of the 10th orbit, again on the far side of the moon from the Earth, the main rocket will be fired for transearth injection, and the journey home will begin. It will be much like the translunar crossing, except that now, as they pass out of the lunar sphere of influence, the Earth's gravitational pull will begin to increase their velocity. Again, star lunar and star landmark tracking will aid the crew in making the necessary mid-course corrections in their flight path. The return will take about 2.5 days and will bring the speed of the spacecraft to almost 25,000 miles an hour. Approximately 15 minutes away from the Earth's atmosphere, the command module will be separated from the service module and oriented for re-entry. As it plunges into the atmosphere, its surface may reach temperatures of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and the astronauts will experience pressures as much as 6 times their Earth weight. By the time its main chutes billow open, more than 6 days and 500,000 miles after liftoff, Apollo 8, built by North American Rockwell's Space Division for the NASA Manned Spacecraft Center, will have fully proven its ability to carry men safely to the moon and back, and will have accumulated data vital to the goal of an American manned lunar landing within this decade.